Good afternoon and welcome to another segment of the Story Behind the Songs. I'm Pastor Debbie Upton, the pastor of Center and Swatch United Methodist Churches. Thank you so much for joining me today for this segment. We're going to be looking at the hymn in the Faith We Sing book that's called In Remembrance of Me, written by Reagan Courtney. It's 225 in the Faith We Sing hymnal. For I have received of the Lord that which I also deliver unto you, that the Lord Jesus, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it, and said, Take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink of it in remembrance of me. This is from 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 23 through 25 in the King James Version. The information for today's history behind the songs comes actually from Michael Hahn again, who is the professor over church music at Perkins School of Theology. It's interesting that Reagan Courtney is actually a Ruston native. He is, so I have a Louisiana friend here. He was a playwright, a poet, an actor, and provided memorable phrases and interpretations to the words of institution. These words were enhanced with the musical setting by Burl Red, who was also one of my professors at Stanford University. So this comes home. And it is actually out of a musical that Burl Red put together back in the 70s called Celebrate Life. It was a look at the life of Christ, and it was a look at what Christ did for us, not only in the cross, but also in the Eucharist. And it was interesting that one of the most favorite songs in this Celebrate Life musical was In Remembrance of Me. Now, I happened to be front row and center in 1972. I was in college and was studying music, and like I said, Burl Red was one of my professors when I was at Stanford University a little bit earlier than that. And so we just embraced Celebrate Life, and there were many times in many churches that I actually put together and led youth through this wonderful musical, inspired musical. But every time I hear this song, it reminds me so much of not only those sweet times, but also for the grace of God, because it just looks and sounds like Reagan Courtney and Burl Red had perfectly blended this memorable now hymn in our hymn book. This was during the time when Jesus Christ Superstar and Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Coat, and of course Godspell. All of these things were coming to the front, and everybody always loved, Jesus Christ Superstar and good Godspell. And so Celebrate Life was the Christian version of the life of Christ and focusing on what Christ actually did. And so I remember the scene in this particular musical of In Remembrance is a somber scene right before the betrayal when Judas leaves. And so it is a beautiful, beautiful hymn. The lyrics are distinctive. They combine memorable understanding of the ritual of the Lord's Prayer. Action is evident in the words. It is so full of Matthew 22:39, Mark 12:31, and Luke 10:27. The extension parallels the Christian rituals where the minister invites the congregation to partake of the elements. In stanza 3, it extends the communion message to continue to look for love. Always look for love. Don't look above, but look in your heart for God. And so it is an imperative to the congregation or whoever hears this that it's up to us to seek God. The power of this musical was to unite the boomer and younger X generations of the 70s. And its 25th anniversary reunion performances to celebrate life took place in many locations in 1997. And so let me play part of this, and I'm going to begin singing it. And if you happen to know the song, I invite you to join. If not, I would invite you to take this time to just imagine yourself as one of the 12 disciples sitting with Jesus as he breaks the bread. What a beautiful song for us to know of God's love. This Sunday is World Communion Sunday, which will be celebrated in churches across the world in different denominations. And so as you participate either virtually or in person with the World Communion Sunday, let this song, let this passage go through your mind, and let your heart be thankful and look for God in your heart. Thank you for joining me today. A shout out to my brother, Ben, and Charlene. Thank you so much for joining me. This song will be one of our songs in our service Sunday, and I invite you to celebrate and participate in World Communion Sunday this Sunday with your church or with a church that you can find online. Thank you and have a great day.